Now, just because you're not moving at the same pace that others are moving, it doesn't mean that you're not making progress. Okay? I want to encourage you today. I know that in this season, it's common for, you know, for some of us to want to evaluate our lives and ask ourselves, what have we been achieved now that the year has come to an end? And so many times some of us may want to beat ourselves up because we feel that we've not achieved as much as our neighbors have achieved. We have not achieved as much as our colleagues at work have achieved. We may not have achieved, you know, the ways somebody else, maybe a sister, brother, or anyone else. And we just find ourselves in that cycle of constant comparison. I just want to let you know something, that your life is unique. And you don't need to lose hope. Even if there may not be any reason for you to keep on hoping, I want to let you know that you can still keep on hoping for that miracle to come. You can still keep on hoping to do better, even as the new year comes. The Bible says in the book of Romans chapter 4, from verse 18 to 21, it says that even when there was no reason to hope, Abraham kept hoping that he would be the father of many nations, as God had told him. So what has God told you? What has God told you? Because it's important that we hold on to what God has given us from the beginning. Because I tell you, when God gives you his word, there are circumstances that will come to test your faith, to test if you are going to hold on to that word that God gave you. What has God said to you? And I tell you, when God tells you something, so many voices, which of course are the voices of the enemy, will come up to discourage you and to want to make you believe otherwise. And the Bible says in that verse 19 of the Romans chapter 4, it said Abraham's faith did not weaken. And then when you go down, it says that even when he realized that even at the age of 100 years of age, or at the age of 100 years, he figured out that his body was as good as dead. And so was Abraham, Sarah's womb. But yet, his faith did not weaken. God gave him the promise at 75. But then, it took 25 years to finally get the promise. But I love what verse 21 says. It said Abraham was fully convinced that God is able to do everything he promises. He was fully convinced. His faith did not weaken. And the Bible says he never wavered in believing God's promises. And I love the fact that the Bible records that his faith grew stronger. Now it's normal because it took him 25 years to finally have the promise, the child of promise, that God gave, the promised child. 25 years. It's normal to want to, for your faith to want to weaken when it takes a long time before you can finally get the promise. But the Bible says that his faith grew stronger. Now you may not realize this, but your faith will also grow strong when you place your trust in God. Because that work in your life, you're not the one who's doing the work. It is the Lord. I would always say this. The Bible says in Philippians chapter 2 verse 13, it said, for God is working in us. It is the Lord who does the work. There are times you're expecting an outward miracle to show up. But I tell you, God starts from the inward. He starts inward. He works on you inside first before it can come out on the outside. Why does it do that? Because by the time the miracle becomes, or it shows outwardly, it has become sustainable. So nothing could ever take that miracle away. No matter the storm you may encounter later on, because God has worked on you on the inside, built your faith so strong, nothing is going to make you lose your ground anymore. And everything that God will do in your life will be sustainable. So I want to encourage you. Do not lose hope. God is working in you. God is working in you. I know there are times. How do you know that God is working in you? First of all, if you look back on your life, you've probably gone through some circumstances that shook your faith at the beginning. And then because over time, as you grow, as God takes you through the journey, you get to a point whereby the circumstances, they may still occur in the future, but you're no longer moved. You are calm. And that's how you know you're maturing. You are no longer shaken by those things anymore. You are still calling on the name of the Lord. And you still have peace in your heart. And that's because you are maturing. And it's a very important step in this journey of faith. Because when you are mature, that is when God releases that miracle that will outwardly show for everyone to see. When you must have matured, because when you have matured, that is when you have the character to carry those blessings. Because if you're not mature and God gives you those blessings, you may crumble. Because why? The weight may be too much for you to carry. When you're mature, you have the strength of character to carry it. So, thank you so much for listening. And I pray that this word will strengthen you today. I don't know who may need to hear this word today. And I'm wishing you all the joy and peace and the beauty that this season brings. And I pray that God will beautify you, beautify your home, and bless the work of your hands, and everything that concerns you will be blessed. Thank you so much once again. God bless you. Goodbye.